Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of the Simple Pin podcast. Today, we're going to be diving into the topic of how to set goals for your Pinterest marketing. This is a topic that's relevant not just for people who are new to Pinterest marketing, but it is also relevant to those who have been doing marketing on the platform or using the platform for marketing for many years, because platforms change, our businesses change, who we're targeting changes. So I recommend you touch base with your goals at least one time per year. For some people, they may touch base and be like, oh, yeah, I'm on the right track. And for others, they may say, I'm way off base. So I want to dive in today to how you can set really smart Pinterest marketing goals that will actually move the needle in your business. Before we dive in, I want to just remind you of a couple things about Pinterest. It is growing right now, and that's a really good thing. Just last quarter, they reported 553 million active users, and their growth isn't stopping. From making sales to getting more leads on their email list, businesses are seeing that Pinterest is making a difference. Despite some rumblings you may hear from people that they are on the struggle bus, and there could be a variety of reasons as to why they're on the struggle bus. We know that you've listened to our podcast. You're taking away some tips here and there, but there's something stopping you from really diving in deep and reaching your goals. If you need support, if you need consultations, if you need somebody who's going to manage your Pinterest account for you on the organic side, if you need somebody to help you get ads started, we have you covered. Simply go to simplepinmedia.com/services, or you can scroll down in the description below. Let's dive into how to set goals for your Pinterest marketing. First, goals are tough for some people. I have had a struggle with goals over the years. I felt like sometimes they were arbitrary. There's this book, I can't remember who wrote it, so I'm going to get it wrong, but it talks about the big BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. I have read Atomic Habits by James Clear. I have read everything. I am naturally a goal-oriented person without even really thinking about it. But when it comes to setting big goals in my business, I often feel paralyzed by choosing the wrong goal, or I feel confused about why I'm picking a goal. And this has actually even been a struggle for us internally as a team, as I coach team members into setting goals simply for our company. Some people just wrestle with it. So before we even get into why goals matter, which ones I'm going to give you as suggestions, I want you to wrestle with that. Are you naturally a great goal setter, or do you find that something is holding you back? I also think the things that I'm going to talk about today will be applicable to other platforms that you're using, whether you're deciding to use Instagram, or you want to use TikTok or LinkedIn or YouTube, whatever it is, it's important to think about why you're using it and what are your objectives for Pinterest marketing. Why goals matter. A lot of people will jump into Pinterest marketing because they hear about how great it is from a business colleague, or maybe you've listened to this podcast a couple of times, or you've heard me speak. You just know that Pinterest is a really important place to be, but you don't actually know why. You don't really understand why you're using it or why it's important for your business. Because you don't have that, there's really no way to track whether or not it's working or not working. So therefore, you lack direction and you feel like you're out on an island. And oftentimes you walk away with, Pinterest doesn't work for me. It does not make sense to me. We hear that a lot here from people who will meet us at conferences and they will say, I have tried Pinterest. I don't get it. I don't get how it works. I'm not going to do a long explainer because basically I have 9 years of podcasts and several YouTube videos explaining all about how Pinterest works. But I want you to think of it like this. Pinterest is a visual Google. It essentially allows people to go onto the platform and search and discover really great ideas that connect with them, that resonate with them. They click on it, they go to your website, and that gives you an opportunity to engage with them. It also gives you an opportunity to earn money in whatever way that you earn. This could be through ad income, affiliate income, sales of your product, could be through your email list because you sell things downline, could be a variety of things. But to make it really simple, that is how Pinterest works. People go to the platform, they discover a great idea, they click on your pin, they come to your website, Boom, boom, boom. That makes it sound like you are going to get 10,000 clicks overnight. It doesn't obviously work like that. You have to be really strategic. You also have to think of Pinterest like a long game. There's many references we use to Pinterest in the marketing space. Slow burn, builds like a snowball. It is something that takes a long time to get momentum on. And it doesn't have dopamine hits. On Instagram, somebody might like your heart, like your image. They might comment on it. It feels like things are happening. The same with TikTok, the same with Facebook. There are these engagement metrics that make us feel good, but Pinterest doesn't have as many dopamine hit like metrics. Sure, people can give you a little heart emoji or they can comment. There are a lot of comments happening authentically on Pinterest, but for the most part, that doesn't really happen a lot. So a lot of people walk away thinking it's not working. A common formula we see is that people will start on Pinterest, they get 3-4 weeks into the game, and they'll tell us there is nothing happening. And then they'll get to 3 months and they will say, this is a waste of time. We have seen this a lot with our clients. In fact, we can pinpoint it to where somebody that we're working with will be really excited to sign up for our monthly services. We will get them going. We'll get them cleaned up. We'll do all these great things. We are moving that train down the track. It is starting to chug. And at 3 months, they reach out to us and say, I feel like this isn't working. We always tell people, hold. We know it doesn't feel like that, but it's going to take 6, 9, or 12 months. In fact, I had Danny from Tailwind here on the podcast, and they did a huge study about Pinterest pins, over 1 million pins analyzed. And the shelf life of a pin is 13 months. If you are expecting really great things to happen at the 3-month mark, you're not even at like median age of a pin. So that being said, we have our cap on that says, this is a long game. I'm going to buckle up and I'm going to stay in. Okay. Here are 3 types of Pinterest marketing goals that you can set. First, just to reiterate before I dive into this, you have set your objective. You have set your understanding as to why you want to use Pinterest. It's like, I'm going to use Pinterest to lean into my marketing because I want X. Now, this is where we get to that X factor. One is traffic. I alluded to this a couple minutes ago when I talked about the workflow of a whole pin. People click on it, then they come to your website. A lot of people love Pinterest because it still drives traffic, because the user on Pinterest knows they have to click on a pin to go to someone's website. Here's an example. I use Pinterest a lot personally. And in fact, right now I am searching almost daily for really great ideas to build a awning for the back of our porch. It rains a lot here in the Pacific Northwest. We want to use our outside more, so we need to get a cover. And right now everything is soaked. It is pouring down rain outside. And so I'm looking for ways to build an awning so that it will cover everything up but not cost me $1 million. I have been searching like crazy. And I will click on people's pins because I want to see how they did it. Is it a company that is selling a pergola? By the way, there are great companies on Pinterest right now that are doing fantastic marketing about their plug and play pergolas. They're great. I've seen them. And that's not just with ads. That is organic marketing, right? But number 2, I am looking to build this on my own, which I know is a bit of a huge undertaking, but I want to do this. And so I will click on the pin and I will go to the website. There are business owners that say, that is what I want. Let's take, for example, that pergola builder. They want traffic from Pinterest because they want people to see what their product is. When you get to traffic goals, I tell people you want to evaluate what the stats look like in order to set your goal. So it's very easy to say, I would like 100,000 sessions from Pinterest. Naturally, everybody would love that. It would be amazing. In order to set that appropriate goal, you want to look back at, if you have done any marketing on Pinterest, what your averages are. If you've not done any marketing on Pinterest and you are just starting cold, what you could say is that my goal in using Pinterest is to increase traffic to my website. Which means by month 3, 6, and 9, if you get 100, 200, 300 sessions from Pinterest, you are actually achieving that goal. that is what you've set out to do. If you have been on Pinterest for a while, you could say something like, I would love to increase my Pinterest traffic by 10% in the next year. There are several ideas about what industry standards are for traffic growth, but we like to tell people to aim at about 2 to 4% per year. And I know that sounds low, but that actually can be kind of the average right now on Pinterest. Some might get 2 to 4% per month. It all depends. I am so hesitant of giving people a target when it comes to traffic because it depends on your niche. Are you in the top 5? Are you in the big 5? Food, decor, fashion, makeup, weddings, like, are you in those? If you are, your traffic goals might be able to be bigger. If you're in the business to business space, if you are selling services to other business owners, your traffic is going to look significantly smaller. So in order to take that into consideration with your growth patterns, you need to only look at your analytics. That is so important. I cannot stress that enough. And we're going to talk about tracking and adjusting your goals based on analytics in a second. But when it comes to traffic goals, always err on the side of caution. This is not where we set a BHAG. You're not going to be like, I'm going to get 100,000 sessions on Pinterest, 0 to 100 in a year. It's going on my vision board. I'm going to dream big. I appreciate that. And I think you are a dreamer. That's amazing. But I want to bring it down to like a little bit more of reality. And I would love for you to just aim for small goals that you can reach. We're going to talk about that in a second. The second type of goal is an engagement goal. The number one metric that Pinterest looks at is saves. Saves are when somebody actually clicks on your pin and they save it to their board. I have saved 200, I'm not exaggerating, 200 pins of awnings because one has an angle that I like, one has a roof that I like, one has the wood that I like, 200. And I am not actually building this awning for the next probably about 4 or 5 months, but I want to prep now. So you might be looking to reach those types of users through saves or even clicks or comments, right? Like engagement goals. Engagement is a really good thing for you to see with your Pinterest traffic. You're like, yep, this is what I'm going for. I want to increase my saves by X number every month, by a percentage every month. So that's a great goal. The third is a conversion goal. You want to make more sales, or you want to have more email signups. Whatever it is, you might even want more bookings for your service clients. Conversion goals are awesome, but it's important that you actually understand what your conversions are now. That's for those who have already been marketing on Pinterest, to benchmark them, or you start at a really reasonable number if you've never done it before. A lot of you have heard of the term SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So instead of saying like, I want more Pinterest traffic, I want to grow my monthly Pinterest-driven websites from 5,000 to 7,500 within the next 6 months. Instead of saying I want more engagement, I want to increase my average pin saves from 50 to 100 on average by Q3. Now we've put some real actions behind it. This is not a direct example with Pinterest per se, but it is an example of a SMART goal that I set recently in my business when it came to Google reviews. Google is our number one traffic driver. Pinterest is second. Actually, YouTube is second and Pinterest is third. These are all great traffic driving platforms for me, and that aligns with my business goals. And so if Google is number one, and that's where a lot of people hear about us, I want to increase my Google reviews to 50 this year. We were starting at 0. So then I thought, can we get to 50 this year? And then we broke it down by quarter. By the way, if you would like to leave a Google review for us, I'll go ahead and link it down below. But what I did was I start to set up things that will achieve that goal. And you know what I did? When we got to 39, I tried to increase that on myself. And I went back to my team and I said, what if we set it to 100? And they said, pull the reins in. Let's hit our 50 first. And so if that happens to you as well, where you are getting to 7,000 monthly visits from Pinterest and you think, oh my gosh, I want to get to 10,000. Don't do it. I'm going to give you the advice that my team gave me. Just kind of pump the brakes and hit your first goal first. Celebrate it. And then you can figure out how you're going to set a second goal. So being specific not only helps you stay on track, but it also helps you from getting a little too ahead of yourself and potentially getting discouraged. So now that you've set your goals, how do you track them and how do you adjust them? Number one, Pinterest Analytics is a great place to start. If you do not have a business account, which everybody who listens to this podcast, which is looking for Pinterest for business advice, absolutely has to have a business account. If you are doing business on Pinterest, it is per their terms of service. You have to have a business account. With that business account, you get Pinterest Analytics. It's magical. It is so great. It's gotten better. It has increased with the number of metrics that you can track in there. I know there's some super smart person who is listening to this podcast that has found a way to export it and use AI and track it and all those kinds of things. I am in my late 40s and I use a spreadsheet and I put them all in there. It's very old fashioned, but here's what it is. The top of the month, the first, if it falls on a Saturday, I'll do it on the 3rd, which is a Monday. And I go in and I look at all of my analytics and I make notes. I make notes about any adjustments that I've made. I make notes about anything that I've tried. I put down for me impressions, saves, and outbound clicks. Those are what I get from Pinterest. I do not track my follower number. I've never tracked it. I kind of don't care just because followers don't always indicate sessions. We're going to talk about that in a future podcast, but it is important for you to note what is actually happening. Right? So now I'm tracking those things. And then I can also note, did I slow down on pinning? Did I increase pinning? Did I change my images? Did I see anything that was valuable to me as far as pins that were driving the most traffic? If my goal is to get more traffic from Pinterest so that I could get more email conversions, were those things happening? And at what level were they happening? So now I can look at it. I can make adjustments. I can kind of survey the scene. I like keeping track of it in a basic spreadsheet. I don't think it has to be complicated. And when people make it complicated, they actually slow down their progress. So I always tell people, go exactly at the pace at which you can go. Don't try to model somebody else's, system. Do your own. And then adjust your strategy. If you need to adjust from there, if you look at the numbers and you say something's not working, then I advise you to change one thing. Don't change 10. And please don't go into a Facebook group and ask a bunch of questions. Don't feel like you need to buy a course. Don't feel like any of those things. Make one change. Now, if you feel like you do need to consult with somebody, in fact, I just had a recent experience like this where I was choosing to LinkedIn. And I have talked about LinkedIn on this podcast before a couple of times. I hated it for a very long time until January of 24, when I decided to use it, when I decided to learn it, but I had been very haphazardly using it. I listened to a few people, I talked to a few people, I kind of jobbled together this strategy for me. But a month ago, I realized if I wanted to use it intentionally, I needed somebody to tell me what to do. These are the things I know about myself. One, I am never going to buy a course. I have bought courses. They are sitting in my inbox. I feel terrible about it because I've never once engaged. Two, I'm very much an in the moment question asker type of person. I need to be across from somebody in order for them to hold me accountable to be able to create the goals and create the plan. And so I got some recommendations from somebody. I ended up meeting with somebody for an hour. I booked a consult and I spent about the same amount that I would on a course. But in that hour, I got answers to all of my questions. I got resources and I ended up getting a plan for what I was supposed to do. And within a week, I had everything implemented and I understood why I was using LinkedIn. And I understood what I was going to track in order to show my success. If that is you when it comes to Pinterest, find the path. It has the least resistance that gets you to success quicker and gets you to reaching those goals that you have with your Pinterest marketing. Start small, track your progress, and adjust as needed. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I so appreciate all the years. It has been 9 years almost that I have recorded this. And we always love to hear from our listeners or our viewers on YouTube. And if you didn't know, this podcast is also on YouTube if you want to see my bright, shiny face, but it's also on all of your podcast players, Apple, Spotify. Majority of you listen in Apple. So if you have not left a review, I would encourage you to take just a couple seconds to do that because we read every single one of them. And if you ever have any questions, simply scroll down below in the podcast app or here on YouTube, and you can connect with us and we would love to help you. Alrighty, get ready to set those goals for Pinterest, and I can't wait to see what you're going to achieve this year.